Five, four, three, two, one.
I'm from a place where the girls are always looking pretty. You might have heard of us, we call it Shy City. We build champions here who define gritty. We don't do excuses, we don't do pity. Rose is coming back stronger, that's a guarantee. Cutler's coming back too, he's beastly. Throwing it to Marshall, the title's ours easily. Black Hawks are winning titles, trophy looking massive. Don't forget about the Cubs, Sox, Crosstown Classic. With so much greatness, we gotta show bravado. You got your boys Ambro and Mike Mercado.
What is going on, Chicago and everybody in the interweb? You're on WYCB and the Chicago Beats. I am Mike Mercado, and it is a beautiful summer day here in the city of Chicago. It is July 3rd, 2012, one day away from 4th of July, and we are back from our 3-day weekend, going on into a day off tomorrow. So today we're going to get involved with everything. The Cubs, 4-1 since Anthony Rizzo came up, so is he the true savior? The White Sox still in first place with a 2-game lead over Cleveland, 3.5 over Detroit, and nothing but NBA free agency and trade rumor talk. But first, if you want to follow the show, we're at mmercado2333. We're on Facebook /MikeMercado2333. And if you want to listen to us or watch us again, which who could blame you because we bring it all, we're on YouTube /MikeMercado2333. Now, as we said, the Chicago Cubs 4-1 since Anthony Rizzo came up to the big leagues. Finally, for Cub fans, it's something that you're seeing that you could grasp and you can understand what the plan is for the future. Now, of course, anything looks good when you're, almost 20 games below 500. But it still doesn't change the fact that they might have hit on this guy. A lot of people were worried about this because of what he has done at San Diego and when he was in the major leagues last season, which is rightfully so. He struggled in the majors in San Diego last year, batted about $146. But this year we're seeing what happened when he got those at-bats at the minor league system. He's keeping his hands low. He's having a different approach at the plate. He's hitting into the opposite field, which is huge for a guy like Anthony Rizzo. Now, if you're going to the South Side, it's a little bit different. The Southsiders have seemed to be snubbed over the last few weeks. They're in first place, a surprise team in the American League, and yet only 3 All-Stars named to that team, to the American League roster. This is where I have the biggest problem over this last weekend of baseball in the city of Chicago. Brian LaHair and Starlin Castro were named All-Stars for the Chicago Cubs. That's fine. You look around Major League Baseball, how many good first basemen are there? The 2 who were every single year All-Stars, were Albert Pujols and Prince Fielder, are gone. They're both in the American League. For the National League, it's only Joey Votto. So for Brian LaHair to be a first baseman who's playing right field right now, I get the loophole and I get how it happened. My problem is how only 3 White Sox are in this All-Star game. Jake Peavy should be an All-Star. Chris Sale should be the starter. Adam Dunn, Paul Konerko, A.J. Pierzynski. A.J. Pierzynski, as much as I dislike him, and Ozzie Guillen said it best about A.J. Pierzynski, the catcher for your Chicago White Sox. You hate him when he's against you. You hate him a little less when he's on your team. And that's the kind of player he is. You love to have him on your team. He does all the little things. Having a really good season around, not just in the American League, but in the National League when it comes to catchers, which has always been a weak position when it comes to hitting. He's done that. And he's had how many perfect games and no-hitters has he called already as a White Sox? So for him not to be an All-Star to me is a snub. Now, for Jake Peavy, who has been, again, now one of the only best pitchers in the American League, probably all of baseball, is part of the last fan selection. And he's just a little bit behind Yu Darvish from the Texas Rangers, the Japanese pitcher. Again, it's amazing to me that the White Sox have to send another player who's having a good season to the All-Star game with the final vote. That is absolutely ridiculous. The White Sox have had to do this for so many years in a row. And again, as a Cub fan, I understand they're in a major market, but because of the city that they're playing in, where they're this is not a slight to any White Sox fan. Since they are the second team in baseball, they have to work to get a lot of their players into this All-Star game, even though they are, in my opinion, one of the surprises in baseball. Now, you could vote on WhiteSox.com, MLB.com. You can follow everything on Twitter to try to get Jake Peavy into the game. Actually, in Chicago's Comcast Sportsnet channel, they're doing a Take Jake hashtag for Twitter to try to get him into the All-Star game. So, of course, if you're a White Sox fan listening to WICB and the Chicago Beat, you can follow us at edmercado2333, and you're going to be seeing Take Jake hashtag if you're a White Sox fan, trying to get him onto the roster for the American League All-Star Game. A lot of moves also beyond baseball in the National Basketball Association. But one seems to be making the most noise right now and could have a big impact on the Chicago Bulls. Find out next on WICB and the Chicago Beat.
You're listening to WICB with Mike Mercado.
A city that has diehards who know when their teams are bad and know when their teams are good. And yet every single day they go to the stadium.
And that's the Beat.
I hope everybody's having a wonderful day today. Thank you again for listening here on WICB and the Chicago Beat. And the weather outside is beautiful. And because of that, guys, this is your chance right now to make a difference in your life. If you're trying to go back to school and you're looking for that right career for you, visit the Illinois Center for Broadcasting website or their Facebook page to try to get a meeting today for enrollment. It is the best school to go to for broadcasting. They have instructors that are in the field already, guys, who will give you everything that they know and every bit of energy. You can get a tour. They have 2 great campuses, one in Lombard for you guys in the suburbs, and of course, one right downtown. Just visit the Illinois Center for Broadcasting.com or call them at 630-916-1700. Illinois Center for Broadcasting, where broadcasting careers begin. Over this weekend, the NBA, July 1st, was the first day that free agents could start talking to their teams. And one of the biggest, of course, news that's going to come out the rest of the season until it happens is Dwight Howard going to the Brooklyn Nets. Now, over the weekend, the Brooklyn Nets made a trade to get Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson, who has one of the worst contracts in the National Basketball Association right now, with about 4 years, $90 million for a second-tier type of player. An all-star, but a second-tier player nonetheless. Now, this move, of course, is trying to get themselves in position for Dwight Howard. Here's the problem, though. Or, not even a problem, we could say an obstacle because of that. Over the weekend, they also got Gerald Wallace to a 4-year, I want to say almost $40-something million secret producer, man. We'll have that checked out a little bit later. But then you still have to sign Darren Williams. So the only way possible for Dwight Howard to become a Brooklyn Net is through a trade. Because now, even if it doesn't happen and Dwight Howard is to go to free agency, Brooklyn, we got to use the same Brooklyn, not New Jersey, the Brooklyn Nets will have no money left over to sign Dwight Howard because of the contract that they have with Jared Wallace, Joe Johnson's, and if they sign Darren Williams, which to them is the biggest part of this whole thing. Not Dwight Howard, it's getting back Darren Williams. And it just goes back to the point that he wanted to be the man, and there's going to be a bunch of all-stars on this team already. And does that make Brooklyn an automatic contender? And again, we know here on the Chicago Beat on WICB, we know how the NBA works. It's a league full of quick adjustments and quick notions. If the Nets make this move, all of a sudden people are going to crown them as the next favorite over the Miami Heat. But again, 4 players with no bench isn't going to do anything because obviously a trade to Orlando gets rid of most of the assets Brooklyn has left over after the trade they've already made for Joe Johnson. And that's not including the fact that Brooklyn might still need to find a third team to get this trade done. So what then? What if Dwight Howard cannot go to Brooklyn? So he goes to Dallas, he goes to LA. Where does he go? Where does he go to become a champion? And it all goes back to how can he not put the Chicago Bulls on his list? This is not coming from a Bulls fan. Let's look at this as a standpoint of how you're going to win your title. Are the Nets any closer of beating the Miami Heat right now if they have Joe Johnson, Darren Williams, and Gerald Wallace with Dwight Howard? Have any of those guys on their own teams shown you that they could carry a team that far? At least with the Miami Heat, you saw LeBron James carry his Cleveland team. You've seen Dwayne Wade carry his Miami team. You've seen Chris Bosh make Toronto relevant. Did Gerald Wallace ever make Portland, Charlotte relevant? No. Darren Williams, as good as the player as he was, has never been able to carry when they were the New Jersey Nets anywhere. He had a good team in Utah with a good system with Jerry Sloan. And Joe Johnson has played in the most underachieving team in the NBA in the last 15 years in the Atlanta Hawks. So how are people going to adjust and justify the fact that this team is a championship contender without even the team being put together yet? And in other big news that has to deal with the Chicago Bulls is the Boston Celtics, who signed in the 3-year, $34 million contract to a 36-year-old Kevin Garnett, 17 years in the NBA. I have no problem with that contract. Yeah, it seems like a lot. They're investing on one more push for an NBA title. And that is respectable. You get it. They've won the crown. They know what it takes, and they truly believe that they can beat the Miami Heat. Whether or not they re-sign Ray Allen, that's going to be an interesting thing. But obviously ESPN has just announced that the Boston Celtics have offered Jason Terry, a free agent from Dallas, 3 years. Not too sure about the money yet. Does that mean Ray Allen now all of a sudden is no longer in their plans and then he could go down to Miami? Does he take a mid-level exception? So many different elements could come into this NBA season. Now, it goes, what do the Bulls do now? They just draft Marcus Teague, point guard from the University of Kentucky. Not just that, he's won a national championship. And not only has he won a national championship, he's been the starting point guard with future NBA players. 6 Kentucky Wildcats were drafted. So obviously he knows how to play with NBA talent. Do I think he's the next steal of the draft? No. But you're giving yourself options. And not only are you giving yourself options, you're allowing yourself to do different things come this free agency. And there's more moves that need to be done. And probably the biggest surprise is what happened to one Chicago Bull in particular this weekend. Find out next, only on WICB and the Chicago Beat.
Fade away. Make me step back and kiss myself. MVP time. Windy City Assassin does it again.
Live from WICB Radio.
Inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown. And no flag, 92 yards.
This is
It's a goal. The Stanley Cup to the Chicago Blackhawks.
Chicago's Beat.
This is the Chicago Beat on WICB Chicago. I am Mike Mercado, and don't forget, we're interactive everywhere in the universe. We're at Twitter at mmercado2333, Facebook /Mike Mercado2333, and YouTube /Mike Mercado2333. So over this weekend, a big weekend for a Bull, or what could be a former Bull. Omer Sheik has an offer sheet from the Houston Rockets, 3 years, about $20-something million. This is huge because the first 2 years, Omer wouldn't be making a lot of money where the Bulls would be hard-pressed to sign that offer sheet. It's the third year, which is a max contract, which he gets like $15 million. Ridiculous. Ridiculous for a guy who can't catch a ball, who will never score 10 points in a game consistently. Now, yeah, he's an awesome defender. Not only is he an awesome defender, he's a huge body. But should the Bulls do that? Now, you still need to take care of Taj Gibson. And you still need to build this team for the future. If you think Omer Sheik's the difference between you getting past the Miami Heat and winning an NBA championship, then yeah, go out there and sign him. But I think most Bulls have seen enough over the last 2 years to know not only has he regressed, but he is not worth a max deal contract. Houston is doing this because they have nothing to lose. They have the money to do it. They're tying the Bulls behind their back, so if the Bulls sign this, now they're struggling when it comes to their payroll. And you have to look beyond just Omer Sheik. What happens at some point when you got to do this draft pick? What happens in 2 years when Luol Deng or Joakim Noah is coming out of the books? What happens when you amnesty Carlos Boozer? You want to be able to put yourself in a position to make smart, even better upgrades in certain positions. I don't think this season, and I've been on the record of saying I don't think this is a throwaway season as much as people want to. I strongly believe the Bulls will still be competitive. I dare you to name 6 teams that are better than the Chicago Bulls, even without Derrick Rose. It's hard to do. And especially if it sounds like Luol Deng won't miss any time of the season because of the wrist, there is absolutely no reason to believe they can't still make some noise. And in best case to worst case scenario, you'll get Derrick Rose anywhere from February to April. That still means you have enough time to possibly get ready for the playoffs. And that's all you need. Because, as I've said before, it's not like Miami in the first 2.5 rounds were anything impressive. The Miami team that won the NBA Finals, that played that series, yeah, there's not too many teams in the league. There might not be any teams in this league that could beat that Miami team. But if the Miami Heat had played the way they did against the Indiana Pacers or the Boston Celtics against a somewhat healthy Chicago Bulls team, the Bulls are heading to the NBA Finals. Do they beat Oklahoma City? I don't know. But that's why these moves are so important. You don't need C.J. Watson. You don't need John Lucas III. It would be nice to have a Kyle Korver or Ronnie Brewer. But let's be completely objective as we can. Has Kyle Korver really been the sharpshooter as he was in Utah and Philadelphia? No, and that's fine. He's a good player. He's a good rotation player for a lot of teams. But is he what the Bulls need right now for that investment? No. Ronnie Brewer is an awesome defender, another one who kind of regressed offensively throughout the season. And you're hoping with a younger, cheaper Jimmy Butler that you're going to duplicate that. Obviously with Carlos Boozer, who will never live up to his contract. He just won't. It's like Joe Johnson. These guys can't live up to that contract because those are superstar deals for all-star players. There's a lot of all-stars in this league. There's a lot of guys who could put the ball in the rim, who could play good defense, but there's not a lot of superstars. We have one superstar. Miami has two. OKC has two. LA has one. And then you start going like Brooklyn has one. And that's kind of where it ends. There's not a lot of superstars in this league. It's a lot of all-stars, not superstars. The Bulls already have that luxury when they have him healthy. So you still need to be able to manipulate and make smart decisions. I don't want this regime of Bulls leadership to stick to their guns and this is what we say, this is what we're going to do, we're stubborn, we're not going to change from it. If Omer is too much money and somebody wants to offer him that ridiculous of a contract, so be it. Let him do it. We'll move on from it and we'll be okay if you're John Paxson and Gar Forman. You had a good draft. You have some flexibility coming up in the next few years. You still have the former MVP of the league, who's only 24. You'll be okay. We wrap things up next here on WICB and the Chicago Beat.
You're listening to WICB with Mike Mercado.
A city that has diehards who know when their teams are bad and know when their teams are good. And yet every single day they go to the stadium.
And that's the Beat.
Some breaking news coming in through the wire. This is right, Secret Producer Man from ESPN. Alright, so SportsCenter is showing that the NFL announces that all of the Bounty Gate suspensions have been upheld. So 4 New Orleans Saints who had appealed this process and appealed the decision by Roger Goodell and the NFL has been upheld. So Fujita, Vilma, all these guys' suspensions are still upheld. Some of them are a year, some of them are, the 8 games. This mess just does not want to get away. And why the New Orleans Saints have not re-signed Drew Brees is unbelievable to me. After all this noise that's going on with the bounty games, the fact that he has not been re-signed is ridiculous. It's not like Matt Forte. See, it's not like what the Bears are doing. The Bears are making a smart decision when it comes to not only a quarterback-driven league, but a running back who's coming off knee surgery. Even though it may not be bad, even though the knee injury may not be bad, it's still relevant. And it's not like your NFL running back's career lasts forever. So, of course, it makes sense that the Bears want to make sure that they get the right deal. I'm okay with what the Bears are doing with Matt Forte. I'm also okay with how Matt Forte is handling it, because he needs to make his money. I get that. I get it from both sides. It makes no sense what is going down in New Orleans with Drew Brees. Absolutely no sense. Don't forget, everybody, you can tweet the show at mmercado2333. We're on Facebook /MikeMercado2333. And we're on YouTube if you want to listen to us again. Share us, love us, do whatever you guys want. We love you for doing it at mmercado2333. DaChicagoBeatjuly3. For everybody here at WICB Chicago, Secret Producer Man, everybody who's helped with the show, my listeners, the Twitter followers, everybody, please have a happy 4th of July. Go outside, enjoy the weather, enjoy your family, enjoy the friends. We'll be back on Thursday, July 5th with all the sports news from it. We'll see you only here on WICB and the Chicago Beats. Happy 4th, everybody.